guys, this is Tara with Kittens, Weights, and Tarot, and today I wanted to talk about my life card. As there could be one or there can be two. I was watching a video by Simon, Two Spirit, and he was talking about his connection to his life card. You know, if you work with numerology, the basic breakdown is you take the month you were born, the day you were born, the year you were born, and you bring it down to a single number or a number that is, under, 21. Or because, there's the major arcana, and you connect it to tarot cards. And so he was talking about, he didn't really resonate with, I think it was the Lover's card, and he was talking about what the Lover's card meant for him, and, his interpretation of it and kind of how it connects to, himself. And so I thought that was really interesting, so I thought I would jump on here and kind of talk about my life cards. The deck that I am just pulling my example cards from is from my Steampunk Tarot, which is in my nice little green sack here. I was born June 10th, 1981, so you would take the 6 plus 10 plus 1 plus 9 plus 8 plus 1, and then you would get a number, and then from that number you keep going down and down and down until you have a number that's under 21, or you could do a single digit number. So I could either bring my number down to 17, which is the star, or bring it down even further to 8, which is strength. And I like to keep these two cards because I think they are very representative of my path, where I am, where I'm going. And so I just wanted to read from a few resources, like what the symbolism and the meanings in these cards, and then kind of how what my take is on that. And so but first, I just wanted to point out the major infinity symbol that's always seen, with the strength card, and that's because, 8, if you tilt it on its side, is infinity. And the notes I'm reading from are from Doreen Virtue's Angel Therapy blog, and I believe her interpretation of the 8 is kind of like, kind of a basic interpretation of 8, which is infinity. And she says, quote, it represents infinity and everything good in the universe when it is infinite, such as infinite love, infinite supply, infinite energy, infinite time. In other words, 8 represents complete and unending abundance without any lack. Okay, so that is from Doreen Virtue's Angel Therapy blog. Okay, so keeping that in mind, I have a couple other resources for you guys. Next, I'm pulling from my Dictionary of Symbols, which the lovely Stephanie from Belgium had she had done a review of this book, and I find it to be a fabulous resource. So first, I just want to look at lion, because obviously, we have the lion, and sometimes in other decks they use something else that represents that kind of strength aspect, but I like the OG lion that would go with the Rider-Waite-Smith system. Okay, so here's just I'm reading from the symbol for lion, and I'm not going to read all of it, but just a good chunk of it. So it says, a solar symbol of overpowering brightness, the powerful sovereign king of the beasts, the lion is burdened with the virtues and defects which are inherent in its status. Although he may be the embodiment of power, wisdom, and justice, overweening pride and self-confidence, on the other hand, may turn him into the symbol of the father, the master, and the monarch, dazzled by his own power and blinded by his own light, to become the tyrant when he believes he is the guardian. He may be as admirable as he is insupportable, and facets of his symbolism waver between these two extremes. The Gita calls Krishna a lion among wild creatures. The Buddha is the lion of the Shakyas, and Christ the lion of the lion of Judah. Muhammad's son-in-law, Ali, whom the Shiites honor, is the lion of Allah, and it was for this reason that the old Iranian flag was emblazoned with a crowned lion. The pseudo-Dionysus, the Haggai explained the reason for some angels being given the faces of lions as being the fact that the lion's shape expressed the authority and irresistible strength of mental holiness and its overriding fierce and uncontrollable effort to copy God's majesty. Okay, so then with that in mind, actually the guidebook that comes with the Steampunk Tarot, and just for a brief synopsis on what the strength card means for them. And so the core meaning, it says calm, control, and healing that brings strength. Respectful Victorians exhibited their own unique form of strength by keeping a stiff upper lip and expressing or controlling their base or animal instincts and desires. In this card, we add a healthy dose of the punk from our theme of steampunk. In our version of strength, a gentle woman performs a revolutionary, or so it would seem to a Victorian, act of strength. Cards from older tarot decks show a human wrestling a wild lion. This expressed the idea that people had a wild or evil side of themselves that must be constantly fought, repressed, and controlled, or would take them over and utterly destroy them. This woman suggests a different tact. She believes the lion that stalks her is simply a symbol of her shadow self. In Jungian terms, the shadow self is comprised of all the parts of ourselves that we dislike, don't value, and are ashamed of. These parts, she says, are not bad in of themselves, rather they are aspects of ourselves that have been wounded. If ignored or repressed, they become infected. After a while, they grow so large, they may burst, showing up in our lives in inappropriate and even destructive ways. This approach, she insists, never works in the long run. If I am now to take what, the brief synopsis of, what the guidebook says for this particular card, and what the Dictionary of Symbols says, and then taking, what the definition of infinity is, I do believe that, growing up, there were definitely parts of myself I ignored for a really long time. And by ignoring them for so long, I would have these huge outbursts as a teenager, when I was in college, where it just seemed like people thought I was going crazy, because I didn't know how to balance my light with my dark, to balance my strength with softness. It was very imbalanced, and I think that that's something that I've really worked on, is achieving more of that balance within my life. So you can say that I've kind of tamed the lion within me. Although you could also say that sometimes if I feel that I'm in the right for something, I become like the tyrant. I will go over and above until I find that there is justice. If I find, let's say, as a teacher, that somehow my students aren't being taken care of or represented well enough with the school, or the district, or some policy that's going on, I will not be the sweet, kind person that you guys see here on YouTube. When it comes to people I love or people I care about, my students, my family, my friends, I become a lion. I become a lion who is agitated, and I will fight for them, and sometimes I am in the wrong, but when I feel I'm in the right, just back off. So so I do feel that really does represent me and my path and where I'm headed. I really do have to learn to work on that and not become so tunnel vision when I feel, I guess, that I'm in the right. It's okay, let's really find out what's going on here. What would be the benefit of going after these people and yelling at them, and things like that. But then also, if you bring the infinity symbol into it, I truly believe that even though I grew up without, I would say, I was lacking a lot, I think that I ignored the abundance that was in my life as well. That I was never I was never homeless. You know, I never had completely fallen on my face. There was always something there for me. And, you know, there was an abundance of friendship that would always help me out. There was an abundance of love in my family. You know, certain people in my family that would, you know, help me in a time of need. I always had an abundance of my health. You know, there were things that I just ignored that I always seemed to be filled with abundance. And I think that that's for everybody, but I think more so that's something that I need to recognize, since that's, you know, here we got the infinity symbol here. So for myself especially, I think that's something that I need to constantly make sure that I see as the abundance that's all around me. The other card that I have is the star card. And again, I want to pull one of the star meanings from the Dictionary of Symbols here. And we have, there it is. Okay, the best remembered property of the star is its luminosity and the fact that it is a light source, a source of light. The stars painted on the ceilings of temples or churches explain their heavenly significance. This celestial character turns them into symbols of the spirit, and especially of the warfare between spiritual forces, or light, and material forces, or darkness. Stars shine through the darkness and are guiding lights in the night of the unconscious. So again, that, you know, that balance between light and dark, shadow and light, you know, fierceness and gentleness, I think really pairs well with strength. Again, if we reference the steampunk tarot here. Okay, here we have the star, and it says the core meaning is guidance, serenity, and hope. A little note before diving into the beautiful depths of this card: the whole fate and destiny discussion is fraught with strong opinions and emotions. First, we have the question of whether the future, any of it, is in any way predetermined or even knowable. If it is not, the consulting the cards for information on the future loses some of its usefulness. Second, some tarots spend many happy hours debating the definitions, similarities, and differences between the words fate and destiny. Because the ideas of fate and destiny are interwoven in the various meanings of this particular card, it helps for each reader to be clear on his or her beliefs and adapt the possible interpretations accordingly. Let's see, and then I wanted to kind of skip ahead. It says, and what of star-crossed lovers and the like? Here's the tricky issue of fate and destiny. Are we fated to love a specific person? Are we destined to play a certain role? Does this card mark that? Possibly. Remember though, she is a harbinger of peace and healing. If the notion comforts you and helps you follow your soul's true light, then why could she not? So that's also something that, you know, I have wrestled with, and I'm still working on understanding more of, is that fate and destiny. And, you know, and myself being an English teacher, having taught many a years of Romeo and Juliet to freshmen, and now that I have seniors, I'm kind of bummed that, you know, they don't get any Shakespeare this year. If I taught normal senior English, because this isn't, like, we don't do a lot of literature for our seniors at our school. It's more like rhetoric and early reading and writing rhetoric and things like that, preparing them for the Cal State schools. But they would be doing Macbeth this year if it were normal senior English. So I often, you know, contemplated that, you know, when I was especially younger, well, I do that now, was, you know, how much of this is fate, you know, my destiny to do a certain thing, or, you know, how much of it is that I have to be in this place because I'm fated or I'm destined to be this place, or, you know, how much of it is my own free will where, you know, if I work hard enough, I could do this, or am I just fated to be, you know, this way? And so far, I think, I mean, I don't know. To me, I think it's a little bit of balance between my free will and my fate, and that's something that I juggle with. Is like, I think that, you know, maybe before I came into this life, you know, I may have said, okay, I want to accomplish X, Y, and Z, and so I'm I'm kind of destined to kind of go into certain areas, but like how I get to those certain areas in life, or like how I ultimately want to learn my lesson, you know, the courses that I take, like if you want to put this in school terms, the courses that I want to take to get to this ultimate goal is kind of up to me. But ultimately I will reach that goal, if that makes any sense. It's kind of how I interpret that card as it connects to my life. But also I see the star card as having a really good connection between the material world, what's going on here, and the other worlds, the other planes. And that's something that I'm constantly working with as well. You know, that was something that I was scared of, you know, as a child. You know, I was afraid of anything that was outside our human existence. And now that I'm much older, that's something that I accept, and I'm accepting more and more. So that's also what the star card means to me. So yeah, I just thought that this was really interesting. I'm glad that I stumbled across Simon's video on this, and I don't know, I'm really interested to hear like your comments, or maybe if you guys do a VR to this, if you, you know, and I'll put a link to Simon's video down below as well, so you can go watch what he did when he talked about the Lover's card. Or maybe if you just want to leave maybe some comments down below about your cards and or card and how it resonates with you. So yeah, all right, well, I thank you guys for kind of listening to this little ramble, and if you find it interesting, again, just comment below. And if you like this video, don't forget to give it a thumbs up. Don't forget to click subscribe, and if you would like to catch a reading with me, don't forget that you can go down below and hit up my Etsy shop or my website, and I would definitely love to do a reading with you. And that's it, most spiritual homies. All right, so peace, love, and shaky grease. Peace out.